Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're trying something a little different.
Yeah, a bit of an experiment for us.
Exactly. Usually we take a stack of articles and we talk about a topic, we analyze the theory.
Where we keep it at arm's length. But the material we have today, this whole stack on the Synergy operating system for capital, it just felt different.
It demands a test drive. It really does.
It does, because if we just talked about the features list, it would sound like every other tech brochure out there. But the promise they're making here is, well, it's massive.
They're claiming to fix the fundamental brokenness of how deals get done. In private equity, in M&A, the whole thing.
And that brokenness isn't just a feeling, it's real.
Right. It's quantifiable. I mean, one of the papers in our stack points out that senior M&A partners are wasting up to 35% of their billable capacity on low-value admin tasks.
35%. Think about that. That is a third of their life spent fixing Excel fonts or chasing NDAs.
Or screening deals that were never going to happen in the first place.
It's what the sources call the intelligence gap. You have these incredibly smart, highly paid people doing work that, a machine could arguably do better.
And while they're doing the grunt work, the actual strategic thinking, the alpha, that just gets squeezed out.
So what's the plan?
Here's the plan. Instead of just reviewing the tech, you and I are going to role play.
Okay, I'm in.
We are a deal team. I'm the partner. You're the principal. Maybe we'll switch halfway through. And we are going to run a live simulation of a deal from start to finish using this Synergy AI blueprint.
I love it. A case study simulation. So we're going to see if we can move from that old reactive model
Just sitting by the phone waiting for a banker to call.
to what the sources call strategic dominance.
Strategic dominance. It sounds intense. So let's start where every deal starts, the hunt.
Phase 1.
Right. So in the traditional world, if I want to find a target company, I'm logging into PitchBook or Capital IQ. I'm typing in some SIC codes, maybe filtering revenue, and I hit enter.
And you get a list of 200 companies. The problem is every other PE firm in the world just ran that exact same search.
We're all fighting for the same scraps.
No.
See what everyone else sees.
So how does this Synergy approach, what they call mandate alpha, how does that change things?
This is the big shift. It's from keywords to something called semantic inference.
Okay, break that down for me.
Think of it like this. It's the difference between searching a spreadsheet for red wine versus asking a master sommelier, I want something bold, earthy, under $50 that pairs well with a rainy Tuesday.
Okay, great analogy. So in our simulation, we aren't using keywords. What are we typing into the system?
We input a sourcing thesis, a context vector. So for our simulation, let's say our thesis is find me Belgian B2B SaaS companies with under 5 million euros in EBITDA.
Standard enough so far.
But, and here is the kicker, that are showing signs of founder fatigue.
Hold on. Founder fatigue?
Yep.
How? How on earth does a piece of software determine if a founder is tired? That feels like a very human, intuitive thing.
Well, this is where it gets a little wild, and honestly, a bit ruthless. The system isn't just looking at financial tables. It's scanning for event-driven signals.
What kind of signals?
The sources list things like recent obituaries, divorce decrees, or specific legal filings involving the majority shareholders.
Wow. Okay, that feels slightly invasive. We're scanning for divorces.
It's the reality of the market, though. Liquidity events are often driven by personal life events, not just business cycles.
The sources draw a parallel to the art world here, right? The Maclo collection.
Exactly. That massive art sale only happened because of a divorce settlement. This AI applies that same logic to M&A. It's looking for the trigger before the company even thinks about hiring an advisor.
So while my competitors are waiting for a teaser from an investment bank,
This system is pinging us, saying, hey, the majority shareholder here just entered a complex legal battle. They might need liquidity soon.
that's a first mover advantage. We are knocking on the door before the for sale sign even goes up. We get a list of hidden gems, off-market deals.
Okay, so we have a target. Let's say it's a logistics software company in Antwerp. The founder's interested, they send us a pitch deck. Now, usually, this is where the momentum just dies.
Right. You hand the PDF to a junior associate and don't hear back for 3 days.
Welcome to phase 2, the qualification, the filter. In our simulation, we're not waiting 3 days. We upload that raw PDF or even just the company's URL into the deal qualifier module.
And what comes out, is it just a summary?
No, it's much more
Okay.
aggressive than a summary. The AI uses, I think it's Google Gemini's massive context window to perform immediate due diligence. It's doing what they call grounding with Google search.
Grounding, so it's fact-checking the deck against reality.
Exactly. Let's say the deck claims we are the undisputed market leader in Belgian logistics.
Which they always do.
Always. A junior analyst might just copy-paste that into a memo. The AI, though, it goes out to the live web. It checks traffic data, competitor sites, customer reviews.
And it comes back and says what?
It comes back and says, warning, pitch deck inflation detected. Traffic data suggests they are actually third in the market.
That is huge. That's the difference between buying a story and buying the truth.
And it gives us an executive verdict in seconds. Go, no go, or go with caution.
Let's talk about the no-go for a second, because the sources mention something called a triage log, which I thought was a fascinating concept.
It solves institutional amnesia. It really does.
Explain that.
Think about how many deals a firm looks at. Hundreds a year. You reject 99% of them.
Sure.
In a traditional firm, the reason why you rejected a deal, it just gets lost in a deleted email chain. 6 months later, a partner sees the same company and says, hey, let's look at this, and the whole wasted cycle starts again.
Oh, I've lived that. Didn't we look at this guy last year and nobody has a clue?
Right. The triage log records the specific reason. Rejected due to high customer concentration. So if that company pops up again, the system flags it immediately.
You passed on this in January because 40% of their revenue comes from one client. It builds a permanent memory for the firm.
Okay, but for our simulation, let's say the verdict is go with caution. We like the target. Now we have to figure out what it's worth. And this is the part that gives me PTSD, the modeling phase.
Ah, the dreaded Excel spreadsheet.
The fat finger error. We've all been there. It's 2 a.m. You're tweaking a model for the investment committee meeting. You accidentally break a link.
And suddenly the valuation is off by $10 million, and you don't realize it until you're presenting. It's a nightmare.
So Synergy AI tackles this with something called Synergy Quant.
Which is basically a simulator, right? Not a spreadsheet.
It's a dynamic simulation.
Yeah.
A single source of truth. But the real magic happens in the meeting itself. Let's play this out. We're in the IC meeting. You be the skeptical senior partner. Ask me a tough question.
Okay, I'm looking at these projections. What happens to our cash flow if the top 2 customers churn and EBITDA drops by 15% next year?
In the old world, I'd have to say, great question. Give me 2 hours to rerun the model.
And the meeting just dies. The momentum is gone.
In the Synergy simulation, I turn a dial. The system instantly recalculates everything. P&L, cash flow, cap table, and shows us the new runway breach date.
In real time.
In real time.
Yeah.
We can stress test the deal live on the screen. We're not looking at some static PDF of the happy path. We are exploring the edges of the cliff together.
That completely changes the dynamic of the meeting. It becomes a strategy session, not an arithmetic audit.
Exactly. We're not arguing about whether the formula in cell C4 is correct. We're arguing about the actual business risk.
So the IC gives us the thumbs up. We have a price, a structure. Now we have to actually paper this deal. This brings us to phase 4, negotiation and documentation.
And this is where the documentation lag usually kills us. You have a handshake deal, but it takes 2 weeks to turn that into a 100-page CIM and legal docs.
Time kills all deals.
The sources mention a boardroom generator, which I have to say sound a little bit like a gimmick.
I thought so too, but it's surprisingly robust. It takes that live model we just built and auto-generates the presentation deck. And because it's connected, there's no version mismatch.
You mean when the slide says EBITDA is 5 million, but the appendix says 4.8?
Yes. And the client loses all faith in you. That can't happen here because the slide is pulling directly from the single source of truth. But the really interesting part is the legal side, the agentic legal review.
Okay, are we saying we're firing the lawyers now?
Yeah.
Because that's a bold claim.
No, but we're changing what they do. Let's simulate the battle of the forms. We send our NDA, the counterparty sends it back with red lines.
Of course. They want a 24-month non-solicit, and they want a cap indemnification at 10% of the purchase price.
Normally, a lawyer charges you $800 an hour to read that and tell you it's off market. The Synergy system scans the markup instantly. It compares it against our firm's negotiation playbook.
And what does it do?
It flags that 24-month non-solicit as off-market for a deal this size. It even suggests fallback language we've successfully used in previous deals.
But before I even forward the email to legal, I know exactly where the friction points are.
It's a first line of defense. It does contract diligence, spots weird clauses that a tired associate might miss at 3 a.m. So the human lawyer can focus on strategy, not proofreading.
Okay, so we've wrestled the contract to the ground. We're ready to sign. But we're not done. Phase 5, the protection layer. This is the last check before the wire transfer.
And this is made up of two tools, Fraud Sentinel and ESG Guard.
Fraud Sentinel sounds like something out of a spy movie. What's it actually doing?
It's checking the plumbing. So for our Belgian company, it connects to the KBO-BCE, the Public Corporate Registry. It verifies the entity structure, and it looks for shell company patterns.
Shell company patterns.
Yeah, does a registered address match a residential apartment? Are the directors involved in 50 other companies with no revenue? Red flags that suggest this business isn't entirely real.
And ESG Guard.
That's looking for the ghosts in the closet. Environmental fines, labor disputes, bad press. Things that don't show up on a balance sheet, but will absolutely destroy your reputation the day after you buy the company.
So we get the green light, no fraud, no scandals. We move to close, and closing a deal is usually just chaos, a flurry of emails. Did we get the signature page? Is the wire set up?
The checklist from hell. Synergy replaces that with a command center dashboard. It tracks all the conditions precedent in real time. It turns the closing into a progress bar.
And it calculates the funds flow, that final table of who gets paid what.
Down to the cent. It automatically adjusts for working capital targets and fees. So you're not doing math on a napkin 5 minutes before the wire deadline.
Okay, we wire the funds, the progress bar hits 100%. We own the company. Champagne, handshakes.
And this is where the story usually ends. And they lived happily ever after. But we both know that's not true.
Not at all. Statistically, this is where the failure begins. Phase 6, post-merger integration. The sources are brutal on this. Most deals fail to realize the synergies they promise.
And the reason is simple. The model we built in Phase 3, that beautiful simulation, it just gets saved in a folder and never opened again.
The operations team takes over, and the deal team moves on to the next hunt. So how does Synergy fix that handover?
Connectivity. The moment we close, we connect the Synergy model directly to the target company's ERP system.
So we're plugging the model into the actual bank accounts, into the live sales data.
Exactly. We're tracking actuals versus our base case in real time. Remember our deal thesis? We thought we could get 10 new clients a month.
Right.
The system watches the ERP. If month 1 goes by and we only sign 6 new clients, it triggers a growth alert. It doesn't wait for the quarterly board meeting to tell us we're failing. It flags it immediately.
And it holds us accountable on costs, too. If we promised the board we'd cut cloud hosting costs by 30%, the system is watching that line item on the P&L.
It closes the loop. It forces the deal thesis to become the operating reality.
It's incredible to just walk through that journey. We used AI to find a target based on a divorce filing, vetted it against the entire internet, priced it in a live simulation, negotiated the contract, and now we're monitoring its daily operations.
And we did it all while retaining the data. This is the bigger picture point the sources make. They call it the data moat.
Explain that, because everyone talks about data, but what's the moat here?
Every single time we used the system in this simulation, every deal we rejected, every valuation we tweaked, every clause we negotiated, it created what they call digital exhaust. The AI is learning.
It's not just learning in general, it's learning us.
Exactly. It learns that your firm hates customer concentration risk. It learns your preferred indemnification clause. The more you use it, the smarter it gets about your specific strategy.
So it creates a flywheel. A competitor can buy the same software, but they can't buy my firm's 10 years of trained data.
Your AI effectively has tenure at your firm. It's a massive strategic asset. It's not just a tool, it becomes an institutional brain.
And if we look at the roadmap and the sources, out to 2026 and beyond, it gets even more sci-fi.
It really does. They mention tokenization and atomic settlement.
Which is all about the friction of moving money and assets. Right now, settlement can take days, even weeks.
The vision is to move assets, real estate deeds, IP rights, equity onto the blockchain.
So closing isn't a wire transfer and a handshake. It's a cryptographic swap.
Atomic settlement. Instant, irreversible, and programmable. You sign the digital contract, and the ownership and funds swap at the exact same moment. No settlement risk.
And then there's the final concept, self-driving deals.
The ultimate automation. The machine verifies the conditions are met and executes the close without any human intervention. The human just sets the destination. The car drives itself.
Which, of course, brings us to the elephant in the room. If the AI is sourcing, modeling, drafting, checking, and closing, what are we doing? What's the role of the human deal maker in this new world?
The sources are very clear on this, and I think it's the most important takeaway. The role of the human shifts to two things: judgment and relationships.
But isn't that what everyone says just to make themselves feel better about automation?
Well, think about it. The AI can tell you that a founder is fatigued. It can't look that founder in the eye over dinner and convince them that you are the right steward for their life's work.
Okay.
The AI can model the risk of a revenue drop. It can't decide if that risk is worth taking for the firm's long-term vision. That's judgment.
So we become the architects instead of the bricklayers.
Exactly. But, and this is a huge but, that only works if you stop trying to be a bricklayer. If you insist on spending your day fixing Excel errors and reading generic teasers, you are going to be obsolete. You have to let the machine do the grunt work.
It's a call to evolve then. The tool isn't replacing the dealmaker. It's demanding that the dealmaker level up.
It's the difference between digging a ditch with a shovel and digging it with an excavator. You can still use the shovel if you want, but don't expect to win the bid against the person with the heavy machinery.
That is a powerful place to land this. We've gone from scanning divorce decrees to atomic settlement, but it all comes back to how we choose to use our time.
It really does.
I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over. We talked a lot about that triage log, the idea of capturing the why behind every no.
Institutional memory.
Exactly. So think about your own week. Think about the decisions you made. How much of that intelligence is just trapped in your head or lost in a deleted email? If your organization could remember every single reason you said no, how much smarter would your next yes be?
That's the billion-dollar question.
Thank you for diving deep with us on this simulation. It's a brave new world for capital, and we're just getting started. We'll see you on the next one.